Jackets are probably one of the first things as a Tarkov player that you're taught to loot. Obtaining keys is essential when you're starting a new wipe or a new account, and jackets are one of the best way to obtain those keys. When I started playing Tarkov, I was taught to loot every jacket I came across because the potential of getting any key out of any jacket was a huge benefit. The question is, other than the massive jackpot keys that you can find, are these jackets worth looting for money-making methods? I decided to dive into this and find out what kind of money you can expect to make from looting only jackets. To complete this, I started my normal process of figuring out what the best routing is to grab as many jackets as possible in the lowest amount of time with the ability to extract. I looted 1,000 jackets during this experiment, noted every item I found, regardless of whether or not I took them. I then noted the market value for the item, drop percentage of the item, and what the value per slot of all of those items were. Hi, I'm Solaris, and welcome to another looting guide for Escape from Tarkov. The idea behind these guides is to try to provide you a practical drop rate for items in game. I do not claim to know the actual drop rate within the game. This is just provide newer players an idea of what they should expect when looting for a specific item. Before I go any further, I would like to mention that I will be live over on twitch.tv/Solaris when this video posts. We'll be working on whatever the current item that we're looting 1,000 of is. If you have any question about how this data is collected, how it's analyzed, the routing for these raids, or just want to say hi, you can meet me over there and I can respond to any of those for you. I have created a spreadsheet with all the information for easy access as usual so that you can access it at any point without having to reopen the video and scan to that section. For future use, you can save a link to the spreadsheet. However, saving a copy will unlink that spreadsheet from Tarkov Market. I recommend saving a link and accessing it when it is needed. Normally with these, I do create a graphic with each item and picture. However, due to the similar pictures you'll have for keys, I've skipped that portion for this graphic and left only the normal info that I provide minus the pictures. In addition, due to the amount of items that you can find in these, I've created 3 separate graphics with about 40 items each, excluding all of these zeros so that I can get through them as quickly as possible and not waste your time. A couple of exceptions for these jackets. The machinery key jacket in dorms on second story, we did not count any of the machinery keys that we got out of this jacket just because I felt like that was going to skew the numbers pretty majorly, as well as the jacket in the back of the car by the scav checkpoint that spawns like a lot of different meds and the dorm room 114 key. As it has a different loot pool, we just did not count that one as well. The first graphic here I have on screen has a few barter items. However, the major items you're going to see here are going to be all of the customs keys and the dorms keys, which I found around 174 of. This would mean you have about a 17 to 18% chance to get any customs key for every jacket that you loot. Another big item that was way more common than I initially expected was the factory key, which we got 22 of. This would put the drop percentage between 2 and 2.5% for that item. Some other minor items here on the first page were the gas analyzers, which had a low drop chance, but were still worth looting if you're near one, not necessarily farming for gas analyzers though. Bolts also had a very good drop rate. I would still recommend toolboxes for farming bolts, but the jackets are definitely worth checking on maps with less toolboxes if you're near one and you'd have to run across the map to get a toolbox. Here on the second graph, we get into a majority of the keys. I found about 50 keys for shoreline, which gives you about a 5% chance for getting any shoreline key when looting a jacket. I found about 14, specifically 2 of the Kiba outer door key, which are quite valuable early on in the wipe and still a decent pickup throughout the wipe. I picked up about 10 reserve keys, which gives you around a 1% chance for the reserve keys, as well as around a 1.5% chance for the interchange keys on any given jacket. The final thing here on this page was the screw nuts that I wanted to mention. I found around 20, a low number, but again, still a decent drop rate within such a large loot pool. About 10% of the items that I found were stacks of rubles. These averaged to around 858 rubles per stack. In total, I only found 4 marked keys throughout the 1,000 jackets. This is not a terrible way to farm marked keys. Once I'm able to farm 1,000 scav pockets and bags, hopefully I can make a better recommendation for ways to farm marked keys prior to getting the flea market. The final section here shows one of the biggest ticket items that I found, being the Ultra Medical Key. At the time of recording, it is still worth around 790,000 rubles. However, during early wipe, I've seen it as high as 4 million rubles. This page also shows that the total number of empties that I found was around 33%. This was significantly higher than all of the previous lootables we have done, which were all around 25%, going all the way up to 33. You're looking at 1 in 3 jackets being empty. The average value that I found for all of the jackets at this current time was around 13,000 rubles. Obviously, with market changes, this can change. At 33% being empty, this can be quite frustrating to farm. A few large benefits are given that the items mostly are keys. You can stack them in a key tool, docs case, or sit case, and then sell them to a trader, even if you die in raid. Most of the keys are still worth a decent amount to traders, so that is a huge benefit there. However, having 1 in 3 being empty does kind of put a damper on that. A few notes on quest items here that could be found in jackets. These cigarettes all had around a 2% drop rate, so this would be a decent option for farming them from bad habit if you're not hitting ration crates. The gas analyzers were also not terrible. Like I said, they were around a 1% drop rate. I don't think that this is a great way of farming them. However, checking them would definitely be beneficial, as it may save you some looting of filing cabinets and toolboxes. In general, a combination of farming all 3 of these lootables is a great way, which rivals farming the tech stores on interchange for your gas analyzers. Many of the keys are needed for different quests. However, the range at which they drop is so wide that you have, anywhere from a 2% chance of finding one key, while such a minute chance of finding a different one, that it's just not necessarily worth farming for any particular key. For these, I recommend checking the specific drop rates that I found and determining if you think that it is worth farming for the particular key that you need. Worst case scenario, you could always go farm that particular key, and then any money that you make from farming you could use to purchase that key later on if need be. Overall, I think if you disregard the empties, that jackets are decent in terms of money making. The biggest advantage jackets have are those high ticket items, which can get up into the millions of rubles early on within wipes. And then also, in addition to that, some of the decent items like the factory key actually end up being quite common throughout these jackets. The route that we found to be the most efficient for farming jackets was on customs. In total, it had around 50 jackets, with a large concentration being in the dorms area, with a small collection on opposite sides of the map being near a big red, as well as a small collection on the factory side of the map in a few of the buildings near ZB 1011 and 1012. A few of these buildings had 2, the highest in what we call the repair building had around 4 jackets. This obviously does present a large issue, being the amount of PvP that is required to farm this optimal route. The PvP did end up being one of the most difficult parts of this experiment. However, there were many raids completed at night where we were able to freely loot all of the jackets, fight the scav boss along the way for massive profits in single raids. Farming jackets this way offers the benefits outside of jackets, which is probably one of the best parts about it. However, you have to deal with the PvP in order to get those benefits. If you felt that this video added value to your Tarkov experience, I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to help me get closer to being able to do this kind of thing more often and provide more varied and valuable content more often than I do now. I greatly enjoyed collecting and analyzing this data for the Tarkov community and have thoroughly enjoyed the relationships I have built in the process. I will read every comment and respond to as many as I possibly can. Thank you for watching another Tarkov loot guide, and if you have time, I would love it if you would stop by the stream after watching and let me know what you thought or ask any questions that you may have. That link will be down in the description below. I will see you in the next one.